Our unfriendly neighborhood misogynist is back at it again, and this time he's even more manipulative. Okay, so I know that on the surface it sounds like he's being good because he's looking down upon the guy who says that he had casual relationships before getting married. But even in this seemingly harmless video, there is hidden misogyny. You see, he says that bad women will try to find a player in you, which means that bad women will see you sexually. They will have sexual desire that is only for pleasure. But a good woman will see you innocently, like the father of her children. They'll see you from the gaze of a mother. She will not see you sexually. She does not care for her pleasure. She just wants to be a mother. And what do we get from this? According to him, women who look for pleasure from sex are bad. Women are only two types, sexual and motherly. They cannot be both. A mother cannot be sexual, which is ironic because to be a mother, you have to indulge in sexual activity. What I'm saying right now might not make sense to you. Watch the rest of the video, it will all make sense. I don't know who needs to hear this, but women enjoy sex as much as men do. And they're entitled to pleasure from sex just like men are. A good key can open many locks, but a shit lock is opened by many keys. This quote is often used to shame women for being sexually active. It suggests that women are like locks and men are like keys. Men sleeping around is a good thing and it makes them cool. But women sleeping around is a bad thing. Because how dare her lock be opened by many keys? Before we get into it, I'm going to be talking about genitals, but I can't use the real words because of the community guidelines. So I'm going to call a woman's genital peach and a man's genital cucumber. So don't mind. I don't actually like calling it that. Here is my official reply to this statement. Women are not locks. Men are not keys. We are all people. Not everything that has a hole is a woman's peach. It also doesn't make sense because a lock has one hole and a woman's peach has three holes. And also, this key example does not make sense because a man's cucumber is not shaped according to a woman's peach, like a key. We can all come up with really random comparisons to make random points. I can also say that a good sharpener is one that can sharpen many pencils, but a pencil that is good can only be sharpened once by a sharpener, and a pencil that has been sharpened too many times has become small and useless. But I'm not going to say that because I don't want to objectify human beings. We're people, not objects. We're not pencils, we're not keys, and we're not locks.
Does that diminish a woman's value in your view to be promiscuous and to build up that body count like a man?
I'll say to you this way. Somebody comes in for a job interview.
Yeah.
And in the last 5 years, they've had 20 jobs. How do you look at them?
It's a problem.
It's a problem. Somebody
Something's
comes for
wrong.
a job interview and they're 32 years old. And from 22 till 32, they've worked at two companies. How do you look at them?
Yeah, positive.
Positive. No matter who you work with, no matter what company you go to, there's going to be conflict. The fact that this person was able to stay at two companies for 12 years tells me they're mentally tough, they're emotionally tough, they don't jump to conclusions. The same exact way we don't like to see people with too many jobs on their resume, we don't like to see too many boyfriends and body count on the resume for women.
Why is body count such an issue?
I'm going to give the most autistic explanation for this, which is that if you were to treat dating as a marketplace with supply and demand graphs, and you were to evaluate whether the prospect I'm interested in is high value or low value, and if the only available signal is from the past, because I'm only meeting you now, I've heard 10 words from you and that's about it. It would sound or seem like having a high body count for a woman means she's very promiscuous.
These days, it is a trend to ask women what their body count is. Actually, no, this is not a trend. Nor did it start right now. The world's obsession with objectifying women's bodies has been a thing since forever. Men have historically, all over the world, always wanted virgin brides. It doesn't matter if they themselves are not virgins. In fact, the concept of virginity doesn't apply to men at all. They want virgin brides because it is easier to manipulate women if they are virgins. If the man repeatedly hurts the woman in the sexual process, but the woman has no idea about the process and doesn't know what it's supposed to be like, then he can just gaslight her into thinking that it's normal to feel pain during this process and that her pleasure doesn't matter. And this is a real thing. You know, there's this whole idea that a woman's first time is supposed to make it hurt and it's supposed to be uncomfortable for her. Yeah, that's straight up lies. It is not supposed to hurt when you have sex for the first time. Pain during sex is never normal. And if it hurts, it either means that the guy did not turn you on, or that he's being too rough, or you have a medical condition. It's not supposed to hurt. It's not supposed to be uncomfortable, no matter what people tell you. It's supposed to feel equally good for both the partners. Women's pleasure matters as much as men's pleasure. Women deserve to have orgasms every time they do it, just like men do. And don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Let's clear out some misconceptions. Virginity. I'm sure you've heard that it's a biological concept. No, it is a social construct. What that means is that it's influenced by the society. And it depends on how the society looks at that concept. The society came up with it. It is not a real biological thing. Now I know that some people will be like, what about the hymen? Isn't that a biological thing? No seal, no deal. That is what a lot of men say, right? When they say seal, they're referring to the hymen, which is some skin around the woman's peach when she is born. So basically, they're saying that if a woman's speech is not sealed, then he will not be with her or accept her as his wife. In today's episode of Which Object Women Are, this time it's a bottle or a package with a seal on it. A little while ago, we were locks. Please decide which object are we. Stick to one thing. Anyway, the concept of no seal, no deal actually tells you that men don't know anything about female anatomy. They think there is a literal seal on the woman's peach that breaks when it meets the man's cucumber for the first time. This is not true. Only a minority of women actually bleed during the first time. A study in the British Medical Journal found that only 37% of women bled during their first time. This is not the majority of the women. And the bleeding isn't even like full drops of blood like a period or something. It's often only a few specks of blood. That's because the hymen is not a seal. Just use your brain for a minute. If there was literally a seal on a woman's peach, how would she get periods? How would the periods come out? A female baby's peach usually looks like this. But the hymen doesn't exist for most women as they grow up. By the time they're getting married, the hymen doesn't exist. Because the hymen breaks when they're walking, running, swimming. It can just break at any point in your life. It has nothing to do with the sexual intercourse because it's really flimsy skin, and therefore most women do not bleed when they have sex for the first time. I read a theory on the internet as to why this happens. Of course, there's not much research done on this because they don't really like to do research on women's bodies in the world. The theory says that female babies are born with a little bit of skin down there because when they poop, it gets everywhere, and if it goes inside, they will get infections. But as they grow up, they no longer need this extra skin to protect them from infections because now they know how to clean themselves. And that's why it's very thin skin which goes away by the time they get married. So basically, hymens being a seal is a myth. And yet, there are so many rituals made on this myth. There's something called virginity testing that happens in India and also the rest of the world. In this, the family of the man puts white bedsheet on the day of the wedding night, and then they come and check the bed after the couple does it. And if there is no blood on the bed, the woman is harassed, abused, and the wedding is annulled. Can you imagine how humiliating this is? Imagine leaving your house and sleeping with a stranger on the wedding night, and then the family comes and looks at the bed to see if you bled. This isn't even the most humiliating ritual. There's another virginity test where the family takes the girl to a doctor who puts 2 fingers inside her to check if the hymen is intact, as if that's possible to check with 2 fingers. That also does not make sense because if a doctor is putting 2 fingers inside and if the hymen was still intact, the hymen would break. Virginity test in India. My cousin's sister was beaten up on the first night of a wedding in front of me. They found that she did not bleed and asked her with whom she had sexual intercourse before marriage. They tortured and tormented her, which remained a childhood scar on me for a very long time. Imagine if we tell men their first ejaculation has virgin semen and would be forever lost if they masturbate, or they need to save it for the right woman as it's their most prized possession, Or they're damaged goods if they lose it outside marriage and no one would ever want to marry them. Or women can definitely tell if they lost it because sex would feel different. Or the more they ejaculate, the narrower their penises get. Or subject them to virginity testing by doctors who check if their virgin semen is intact. Imagine if for thousands of years men are taught these myths, and we all uphold them today under the guise of protection, religion, morality, safety, and science. If imagining that sounds absurd and cruel to men, why can't we realize that it is absurd and cruel that we're still doing this to women? A lot of young girls in our country also are not allowed to wear tampons and menstrual cups because it will break their virginity. And they're supposed to save themselves for their man. Men are out here competing with tampons and menstrual cups. So you see, these biologically incorrect perceptions actually shape the lives of women. It can even sometimes determine whether they get to live. And don't think that this is not common. The court literally had to tell people not to do it. By the way, there is no such practice or perception about male virginity. It's not even a part of the conversation. People simply don't care. There's also this idea in the society that sex is something women have to take and men do it. But the truth is that both the people are a part of the process. It's an equal process. If you notice the language that we use to describe this process, you'll notice that it's also suggesting that women take it. Chod dunga. I'll fish you. It is something he is doing. I want to have sex with you, on the other hand, sounds more equal, but most people don't say that. The whole conversation around this activity revolves around male pleasure. Even in headlines about rape, they will almost always put the light on the woman, the victim. She was raped. They will never say a man raped. Somehow it is a bigger deal that a woman got raped rather than the fact that a man raped. The idea that an innocent woman's virginity was taken is a bigger problem than the idea that a man went to the extent to do that. The actual crime is not the problem. The problem is that a woman's respect was taken away or something like that. And this can also be seen in the way the society reacts to women when they try to speak up about things that have happened to them. They are told to stay quiet, to protect their own respect. Because if a woman speaks up about this experience, she is accepting that she is no longer a virgin. And this reduces their status and position in their family. Actually, not just theirs, their entire family's respect depends on her. So she's told to stay quiet. Because if she tells people, then she'll be seen as damaged goods. Did you know that women have a body part called the clitoris, whose sole purpose is pleasure? Men have no such body part, by the way. Their cucumber does a lot of activities. It's meant for urination and it's meant for procreation. It's only meant for removal of sperm. Even their pleasure is tied to procreation. When they finish, their sperm comes out, and that sperm is supposed to make someone pregnant. On the other hand, the clitoris has no other purpose than to pleasure the woman. That means that nature literally intended for sex to be pleasurable for women. Maybe even more than men, because a woman doesn't have to have an orgasm to get pregnant. So why else would she have an orgasm? For pleasure. Men don't have any organ like that which is meant solely for pleasure. Their pleasure only exists if they spread their seed. Interestingly, the clitoris has been ignored historically. People say it was discovered only a few centuries ago. It's literally right there. It is very obvious. It's not even hidden. And yet, it is something they had to discover. And we don't even learn about it in our school textbooks. Most people don't know that it exists. People keep saying, pleasuring women in sex is a complex thing and not everyone can do it, that not every woman can have an orgasm. But actually, it is pretty straightforward. It's right there. Almost every woman can have an orgasm with the clitoris. Mainstream porn videos don't even mention this body part. They don't show it, they don't put any attention on it. It is not a part of the process that they show. Their videos are all about male pleasure. There are hundreds of songs mentioning the male organ, but no song about the clitoris, not even one. And you'll never see it getting mentioned in movies either. But the male organ is often mentioned, even as a joke. Now, why does this happen? It's because it's connected to women's pleasure. And women's pleasure is ignored because women who prioritize their pleasure are seen as bad. There is a very interesting concept in psychology known as the Madonna whore complex, and that explains this pretty well. Sigmund Freud, who is otherwise a very terrible guy, came up with this concept. And while most of his theories are extremely misogynistic and illogical, This one, to some extent, still applies in today's day and age. It's also known as the Madonna Mistress Complex. I'm going to call it that so that I don't go against the guidelines. The Madonna Mistress Complex is a construct of male psychology that constrains female sexuality by categorizing a woman as either pure and good or sexual and bad. And only the good girls are worthy of respect. The bad girls are not. The good girls are Madonna. The bad girls are mistresses. By the way, Madonna doesn't mean Madonna like the singer, but Madonna as a depiction of Virgin Mary from Christianity. Yes, this whole concept is a part of religion as well. The way Freud describes the complex is a little bit different from how feminist authors describe it. We will use the modern day definition of this complex because Freud described it as men being sexually attracted to their mother and loving her but not being able to do something about that, and this ultimately causing them to not be able to see women as sexual and loving, and this causing their inability to see women as capable of being loved and sexualized. You see what I meant? This guy was really weird, but he gave us a name for what happens in our society, so I'll give him credit for that. The good girl is modest. She's nurturing, she's loving, she's innocent, she doesn't ask for attention. She is wife material. The bad girl is sexual, she's outspoken, she's independent, she's loud, she's sinful, she's masculine. She behaves like a man. A woman can either be this or that. She cannot be both. Taylor Swift actually sings about this in her song Lavender Haze. The lyrics go, the only kind of girl they see is a one night or a wife. So basically, we can see three concepts coming out of this complex. A girl who is sexual cannot be pure. If girls are sexual, they are not worthy of respect. Girls who have sexual freedom can be enjoyed. We can date them, but marrying them is a big no-no. They are not wife material. Feminist theory suggests that this complex is deeply rooted in upholding our patriarchal society in an attempt to control women's sexual autonomy. Shaming women with sexual freedom reinforces harmful gender stereotypes and double standards, allowing men to maintain a position of power. Once you notice this, you'll see it everywhere, even in politics. For example, this man from the Election Commission of India says that they can't release polling booth video footage because they can't reveal videos of someone's mother, sister, daughter-in-law. This had nothing to do with voting theft. And yet, this man decided to bring women into this. Because according to him, respect is only to be given to a good girl. The good girl who is associated with men, not the independent girl. The girl who is a man's someone or something. Men only respect women if they are their mothers, daughters, sisters, and wives. They don't see women as people. They see them as an extension of themselves. And if they are not, then they're not worthy of respect. He could have literally just said that we want to respect the privacy of our voters. But no, he said mothers, daughters, etc. And that was for a reason.
ये है मेरी शूट वाली लोकेशन, यहाँ पे मैं शूट करती हूँ, ये है मेरा सेटअप, यहाँ
हाँ हमें पता है ये सेटअप है आपका, हमें सबको पता है, अच्छे से पता है कि ये सेटअप है, तभी महीने के 45 लाख रुपए आ रहे हैं ना, क्योंकि अगर यहाँ तक का सेटअप हो तो 45 रुपए भी ना दे कोई। अब लोग सोचेंगे कि यार सेटअप तो बहुत लड़कियों के पास होता है, यही क्यों वायरल हो रही है। देखो, देयर इज अ ह्यूज डिफरेंस बिटवीन हैविंग अ सेटअप एंड शेकिंग अ सेटअप। वल्गर कंटेंट सब बना रहे हैं, लेकिन कुछ अलग करो। आई बेट यू डिडंट नो दिस, मतलब अलग। थोड़ी सी सैड चीज ये है कि हमारे भारत के लड़के थोड़ी कम है जो ये पैसे दे रहे हैं सेटअप देखने के, तो लड़के ही दे रहे हैं, और इसके फेस एक्सप्रेशन इतने क्यूट होते हैं कि लोगों को लगे कि इसको पता नहीं लग रहा है क्या कर रही है,
क्योंकि मेरे पास 4 बार्बी डॉल्स हैं।
अनजान है ये, खुद से ही अनजान है, शायद ये गलती से, आई बेट यू डिडंट नो, ये गलती से शायद ना कर रही है, तो क्यूट है। कहती ये मेरा सेटअप है, भगवान ऐसा सेटअप लड़कों को भी दे। 45 लाख रुपए आते किसको बुरे लगते हैं, हम तो बोलते रह जाएंगे। इसने क्या करना है, हमारी बात थोड़ी सुननी है। इसने फिर से आई बेट यू डिडंट नो 20 लाख आ गए, आई बेट 40 लाख और आ गए, आई बेट चलो मर्सिडीज आ गई घर में, नीचे खत्म कहानी, चलो।
So this girl is popular because she uses the male gaze to her advantage and earns money from it. That is a whole other conversation, and you can watch my YouTube video on this to understand what I think about it. The point is, men will never shame her followers. They'll never shame the subscribers of the OnlyFans models. They will never shame the men who are literally throwing money at women who are just showing them their body parts. But they will always shame the women for doing it. My question is, if you're so against sexuality in our culture, why does it only apply to women? Why are all your videos hating on women as if they're the only ones being sexual? A woman wearing a short dress is not setting back women's rights. The man objectifying her is. A woman expressing her sexuality is not setting back women's rights. The man shaming her is. A woman owning her body in ways her grandmother was denied is never ever setting back women's rights. The man pushing her back is. Here are two examples of men using their body to get views. Not a single comment is questioning their level of respect, their modesty. Not a single person is calling these men out for destroying our culture. Apparently, withholding our cultural values is only the responsibility of women. It doesn't apply to men. You will never see a comment like this under a shirtless man's video on the internet. He is someone's son. He is someone's father. You will never see men being blamed for being sexual because their sexual freedom is not seen as their identity. Look, men are given more sexual freedom than women. When a woman is sexual, that's all people see in her. But when a man is sexual, it's seen as just a part of his personality. Men can be sexual and be seen as successful businessmen, great lawyers, amazing doctors. But if a woman in politics decided to wear a bikini on her vacation, can you imagine the kind of backlash she would get? The society sexualizes every body part of a woman and then tells her don't be sexual. Isn't that kind of ironic? This reminds me of this video I saw once where a woman with big breasts was like, am I being sexual or do I just have big breasts and you're looking at them and sexualizing them? You'll also see this Madonna mistress complex in movies. In Kuch Kuch Hota Hai. Do you remember how Kajol's character is friends with Shah Rukh Khan? He has fun with her. She is like a man, because she doesn't care about how she looks. She is loud. She is outspoken. But he's never attracted to her at that point. He is attracted to Rani Mukherjee. She is a good girl. She's modest, she's motherly, she's nurturing. There's nothing sexual about her.
Om Jai Jagdish Hare Swami Jai Jagdish Hare।
लंदन में रहने से, वहाँ पढ़ने लिखने से मैं अपने संस्कार नहीं भूली, और ये तुम मत भूलना।
She is wife material. But then she passes away and then he meets Kajol again. This time, she is a good girl. So he gets attracted to her. Cocktail is another example of this. You can literally see the good girl versus the bad girl in this poster. And of course, the bad girl has a modern Western name because apparently being Western is bad. Veronica. And the good girl has an Indian name, Meera. Can you guess who the main character falls in love with in the end? Meera. This complex is also a part of our education system. Little girls are shamed for the length of their skirts so that they don't attract boys. It is always seen as bad girls and bad students ask for attention from boys. But the boys will never be shamed for looking at girls a certain way. Only the girls will be shamed for attracting the boys. And a boy will obviously never be called a slut. Lots of schools and colleges try to police what girls should wear, to the extent that sometimes girls are punished and told to stand outside the class and not attend the class because of the length of their skirt. They're not allowed to enter the college if they're not wearing covered clothes. Do you understand what these educational institutions are trying to tell people? They're telling people that boys are allowed to have a sexual gaze. They're allowed to sexualize you. But if you try to sexualize yourself, that's bad. You're not allowed to have a sexuality of your own. Only boys can sexualize you. You can't sexualize yourself. They are being taught that a woman's consent to sexualization is bad. That the power should always lie in the hands of the guys. And they're allowed to do whatever they want, not the women. This complex is even present in weddings. Have you noticed that there's a concept called the shy blushing bride? And you can see that when women are told to put the ghungat on their head and then the guy opens it up like a little gift. He literally unwraps her. Why does the bride have to be blushing and shy? Because if the bride was sexy, if she was confident, if she owned her sexuality, she would no longer be worthy of respect. She would turn into the bad girl. And that is not wife material. Again, let's note that there is no concept of a blushing groom. He's allowed to just be the way he is. Nobody is publicly unwrapping him like a gift. This concept also exists in all the religions of the world. Purity culture is a concept that's very common. And don't get me wrong, it's not coming from Christianity. That is just a name that Freud gave this complex. Purity culture is when you associate the purity level of a person, usually a woman, to their virginity. By this definition, a woman who is sexually active is impure. Look, religion can be used for various purposes. For having faith, for having hope, for strength, for positive things like that. Some people are religious because it gives them mental peace. Religion is not bad, but parts of it are made bad by people who misuse it to hurt people so that they can remain in power and control the narrative. If you think critically and pay attention to different aspects of your life in terms of religion, you'll notice this. Men are all divided by religion, but they're united by patriarchy. The worst possible thing that you can probably call a woman is the R word, Randi. But the worst possible insult to a man is his woman getting fished in some form. I got this hate comment, and you can see the Madonna mistress complex even in this. I think your husband is cuck. If any real men would have been your husband, you would get daily dose of thrashing and belt treatment. You would have stopped making reels in a day. Because I'm outspoken, I am seen as the bad girl, the girl who is in charge of her sexual freedom. And if a woman is sexually free, she must be sleeping around, right? She cannot be loyal, she cannot be a wife. It does not matter to this guy that I'm married and in a monogamous relationship with my husband, that I don't sleep with other men. The insult is being given to my husband and he's being called a cuck. A cuck is a man who has essentially lost control over his wife's sexual freedom. I get this comment as an insult very often, by the way. And that tells you that this concept is very common amongst Indian men, that they need to control the sexuality of their woman. It is also visible in the type of insults that are very popular in India. They somehow always involve a woman and sex. Recently, this news came out. Delhi man rapes 65-year-old mother twice as a punishment. Just think about what I said in the beginning of the video. They always put the attention of these incidents on the victim, which is the woman, instead of on the abuser. Now on the surface, this headline is good because they have put attention on the man for raping his mother. Except they haven't. You see, they used the word mother for the victim, but they called the abuser a man instead of a son. Even here, they're defining the woman with the relationship she has with the abuser. The fact that the son is the rapist is not the problem. The problem is that a mother got raped. They could have written son instead of man, but they chose not to. And this is on purpose. It is not a coincidence. This headline probably went through multiple edits and approvals. Anyway, this incident is very important to understand this complex. The son raped his 65-year-old mother because he felt that she was cheating on his father. He was not sexually attracted to his mother. Rapes do not happen because men are horny or that they can't control their sexual urges. They happen because men are trying to control women. He was using his sexuality to control her because men see their mothers as that good girl archetype. I'm sure you've heard of that whole narrative where men go like, we are the last generation with innocent mothers. I have a video on that too, go watch it. The man raped his mother because he had a suspicion that she was having sexual freedom. She was having relationships with other men. In the past, by the way. His suspicion that his mother was cheating on his father destroyed the narrative of the good girl mother for him. She is no longer innocent, and therefore she is no longer worthy of respect. She needs to be controlled. It is just sad.
क्यों वजाइना में सेंसेशन खत्म हो गई है क्या? वजाइना में सेंसेशन खत्म हो गई है। कभी वजाइना देखी है मां से निकलने के बाद लवड़े?
Why did Rebel Kid's statement get so much backlash in our country? Because it destroys the common man's perception of an innocent mother. It shows her peach as having more purposes apart from childbirth. And that offends people. That guy was also referring to Rebel Kid's speech and insulting her. But nobody got offended by him. He did not get cancelled. They all cancelled her because they see her as a bad girl. She's outspoken, she wears whatever she wants. She is not seen as a sister, mother, daughter. So someone referring to her speech and insulting her with that, that's acceptable. But what's unacceptable is a hypothetical mother's speech being used as an insult. And that's why that guy did not get cancelled. Also, just a disclaimer, I am not supporting her or him. In fact, I'm completely against such shows and using such words. I'm just speculating why people took offense to her statement but not his. I personally found both of their statements really offensive. If you think about your childhood, you'll notice that the Madonna mistress complex was a part of that too. We are taught that a woman's body is sexual. We are taught to sexualize our own mothers. How do I know that? Most of us have probably seen our dad shirtless. Even when we have grown up, he will roam around shirtless in the house. How many of us see our mothers shirtless? Once we grow up, we are all taught that our mother's breasts, which we all have a maternal connection with, which is not sexual at all, are somehow sexual and shameful. But our father's bodies are just bodies. Their nipples are just nipples. It's funny because your father's nipples are actually biologically useless. They don't contribute at all to the society. But a woman's nipples literally nourish us. And yet, there is so much shame around a woman's nipples. Actually, men's nipples should be shamed because they're useless. They're just there. I'm just kidding. Nobody's body should be shamed. Now, why does this happen? Why do men try to control a woman's sexuality? Researchers Emily Kane and Mimi Shippers discussed in the study on men's and women's beliefs about gender and sexuality that assertive female sexuality represents a potential threat to men's social dominance. Their theory suggests that men may fear that women will use their sexuality as a manipulation tactic to emasculate them. Basically, reducing female sexual autonomy minimizes the threat to their power. The society's stance is clear. A woman who is in charge of her sexuality doesn't deserve any respect. A woman whose sexuality is controlled by the society and a man deserves respect. So, how much body count is acceptable for women? I think this question itself is wrong. Because, first of all, the term body count actually comes from a military context, where it refers to the number of individuals that were killed by the army. It has become a part of Gen Z slang to use it to talk about the number of sexual encounters they've had. The word body in body count is used to dehumanize the person, the people who died. They are just bodies now because they're not alive. And when we ask people their body count, we are seeing the people that they slept with as bodies. This question itself has been made by the male gaze because men are historically known to objectify women and see them as bodies. Ironically, they ask women this question. Women usually do not objectify men, not because they're biologically incapable of objectifying them, but because we are not conditioned to objectify them. Usually, the men that women sleep with are not just bodies for them, they see them as people. I have personally never seen a woman objectify a man. Women can have multiple sexual partners, but they don't objectify men. There is so much more to a person than the number of people they have slept with. A relationship doesn't have any connection to the number of people the person has slept with in the past. Our country is obsessed with sex. We deny it. We say that we're traditional, modest, our culture doesn't have sexual stuff in it. But the reality is that we love sex. Because look at our population and look at the conversations of our spiritual leaders. They all revolve around sex. We are constantly trying to control a woman's sexuality, control everyone's sexuality. I hope you know that being modest and stopping yourself from indulging in sexual activity is still being obsessed with sex, because sex is still a part of that conversation. I think we need to redefine modesty, because the current definition doesn't really mean what they are saying. Modesty currently means that we're avoiding indecency. But honestly, I think judging random women on the basis of their sexual freedom and sexual history and reducing their personality to objects is the most indecent we can be. When we tell women to cover up, to control their sexual urges, to be this ideal good girl with no sexuality of her own, we are overly sexualizing them. How is that modest or decent? That is extremely indecent. True modesty would be a culture where sex isn't even a part of the conversation. It is as normal as breathing and eating. Currently, every body part of a woman is seen sexually. Her belly button, her ankles, her knees, her shoulders, her armpit hair, her feet. When we stop the focus on sex and talk about the true connection in relationships, that's where real modesty comes. Where women's bodies are not continuously sexualized. They just exist. Women can be sexual and be hardworking. They can be career-oriented and loyal. They can want to have sex and be good people. They don't exist to just be sexual or not sexual. They are people, just like men. Thank you for listening. Let me know what you think. Goodbye.